Hi guys, it's Tamara, the Judeo-Christian medium. Today is Sunday, February 4th, 2023, and I'm just coming on tonight. I talked to Jesus about this, and he would like me to attempt to share with you some metaphysical, psychic, spiritual experiences that I've had as a medium growing up. So we decided to break it down into chunks. So today I'm going to attempt to tell you about some of the experiences that I've had from when I was born until 10 years old. This is how I'm going to try to break this up. So I'll share with you some experiences that I've had of going over to the other side, going on the ship, and then just some weird things that have been said to me or have happened. And just to let you all know, this is not going to cover everything. These are just some highlights of what I experienced. So Jesus really wanted me to share this with you because he told me that I've had so many experiences and I passed it off. I passed it off as not being a big deal, swept it under the rug, didn't think that it meant what it meant. Also, I didn't really have any reference. Now we have the internet, we have other people telling their stories. So as a child, I really thought that what I experienced, other people experienced. And as you all know, children, especially creative children, I was a creative child. I'm a creative person. I lived, and you can see I still live watching my videos, part in reality and part, in my imagination with spirit. I guess some would say that is not, the earthly reality. It's the best way I could explain it. So, children play. All children play. So that's another reason why I didn't understand that I was actually having real experiences. Yes. And Jesus is here talking to me, and he would like me to point out that Earth is real. The other side is real. They're both equally real, but different. So some of us leave Earth while we're here. Our spirit leaves, and he's saying that there is this idea going around, and he understands it because it's hard for people to explain. So people who have had near-death experiences, which I'm going to talk about, mediums, psychics, tarot readers, a lot of people say that we're living in it's like a simulation and it's not real, that the other side is real. And Jesus is saying, no, we have free will, so we do direct our lives, but this earthly plane is real. And I will make other videos breaking down each aspect of that. But for now, let me just quickly explain, if you're just tuning in, you don't know who I am. I'm a Judeo-Christian medium, meaning I'm Jewish and Christian. And the reason I am that, it goes through my DNA, through my past lifetimes, through my experience with Jesus. And I've said this before, it's, when I say Jewish and Christian, I'm not criticizing other religions. I'm going to explain, I'm going to break down each religion in videos and what Jesus thinks are like the good points, the bad points, and what have you. But I am that because of my experience in my past lives and my current DNA and my experience with Jesus when he was here, as he was a Jewish Christian medium. And when he was here, he was trying to give advice to the Jewish people in order to help them, in order to make their lives better, in order for them to enjoy themselves more, to live longer, be healthier, all that stuff. So I'll be making more videos about that, but for now, I want to explain why I'm wearing a navy sweatshirt. This has to do with a past life that I will talk about, and this is also about being a part of the Galactic Federation. Many of you know about the Galactic Federation. I'll just try to explain that very quickly too, just so you understand. The Galactic Federation is made up of my team here, Jesus and the Archangels, and who are also the Pleiadians, Arcturians, and Tall Whites. So many of you have watched videos of people who have had near-death experiences, and they talk about an angel meeting them, or Jesus meeting them, or an alien meeting them, a Pleiadian, an Arcturian, a Tall White, and they bring back messages. That is done on purpose. They like to give messages to people when they come back. And they do that because they want you all to know that there is another side, and that to take this lifetime seriously, but also not to be afraid of death. And they just have lots of messages, lots of knowledge. And that's one of the ways that they give us knowledge. But anyway, the Galactic Federation is made up of my team, who I am going to pray to. Feel free to pray along with me. And the very broad goal of the Galactic Federation is to fight spiritual warfare. And yes, we are in spiritual warfare, and I'll also quickly tell you what that means. So what Jesus has told me is that when God created humanity here on earth, he got together with the reptilians, the Arcturians, the Tall Whites, and the Pleiadians. Lots of things have happened since the beginning of humanity, but a couple things that have happened is there has been a dark force that has been created. So it's a dark reptilian energy, and there are dark reptilian people who live here. And there's also a dark reptilian energy that is in the fourth dimension. So that's a huge, long discussion. You can watch my older videos on each of the groups, and I'll be making more videos giving details about that. But for now, let me pray to my spiritual team. Feel free to pray along with me. They're going to be helping me with this video. I've written down, I do automatic writing. I've written down, they've helped me remember things that have happened to me. So I've written down and highlighted things which I'll be referring to later. But for now, let's pray to my team. And the way that I'm going to pray to them is to thank them. They're here with me now. I'd like to thank God for life. God comes to me from my right. He's coming to me as a white light, connecting to Jesus. I'd like to thank Jesus for peace. So he connects to Jesus, and through gold, white gold, silver, a little bit of purple tonight, heavy, heavy indigo. Thank you, Jesus, for peace, which connects over to Mother Mary on my right hand shoulder. Thank you, Mother Mary, for comfort. Mother Mary is like hugging me tonight. Oh, her energy is so warm. Thank you, Mother Mary. Thank you for comfort. She's very indigo. And Mother Mary connects over to Father Joseph on my left hand shoulder. Thank you, Father Joseph, for stability. He said, move quickly, because he's watching the time. Okay. Thank you. He connects over to Archangel Michael, who's very, very indigo. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you for protection. And Michael wants me to let you all know that he oversees the Navy, which is also why I'm wearing this. He's heavy Pleiadian. They're all Pleiadian, Arcturian, and tall white with different heavier influences. He wants me to do my little routine that he made up. He thinks that's really funny. So anyway, he's like, you didn't do it right. Okay. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you for protection. Archangel Michael connects over to Archangel Metatron. Thank you, Archangel Metatron, for entertainment. And he's like trying to zip his lip. He's like, we're gonna be serious tonight. I'm like, okay. Thank you, Archangel Metatron, for entertainment. So Archangel Metatron is just a swirl of red, yellow, orange, just like a fireball. Thank you, Archangel Metatron. He's connecting over to Archangel Eric, who sits right here next to me. And sorry, I'm closing my eyes. I'm connecting with them. Oh, they're all very warm tonight. Thank you, Archangel Eric Medhus. Thank you for communication. So many of you know who Archangel Eric Medhus is. His mom has a channel here on YouTube called Channeling Eric. You can check that out. But his mission is to communicate, to help us here on Earth communicate with those on the other side, especially mediums. He is a part of Archangel Uriel, which is me, but he has branched off, and this is his new mission. Thank you, Archangel Eric Medhus. Archangel Eric Medhus connects over, and he's very Pleiadian, he's very indigo. And Archangel Medhus connects over to Archangel Gabriel. This is a new warmth I'm feeling from you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Archangel Gabriel. Thank you for acceptance. Archangel Gabriel is very red. Archangel Gabriel connects over past Archangel Michael to this section over here of the tall whites. Thank you, Archangel Sandalphon, who's very white. Thank you, Sandalphon, for intelligence. Sandalphon connects over to Archangel Raphael. Thank you, Archangel Raphael, for healing. So now the colors are going from white to violet. Archangel Raphael being very violet. And it's a swirl, guys, so they have some other colors, but he's mostly violet. And it's very warm. But just to remind you all, this is where the rainbow was connected, that swirls down to Earth and connects to us. And this is why people talk about the rainbow connection, which you've heard in songs and movies. And what it is them, God, Jesus, the archangels connecting down to Earth. And there's just other angels connecting down to Earth, to us. And it is what people call the rainbow connection, which is when people pass. That's the connecting rainbow bridge. Okay, so I try to tell you all a little bit more each time. So thank you, Archangel Raphael, for healing, who connects to Archangel Azrael. Azrael is tonight, he's coming in as violet, very indigo, a little bit of white, gold, silver. Thank you, Archangel Azrael, for organization. He's like, you're welcome. Azrael connects to Archangel Jophiel, who's just very shiny, gold and white and silver. Thank you, Archangel Jophiel, for magical beauty. And Archangel Jophiel connects to Archangel Uriel, which is me. Thank you, Archangel Uriel, for my mission. Archangel Uriel is very indigo, which you can see here. Archangel Uriel connects over to Archangel Zadkiel. Thank you, Archangel Zadkiel, for balance. So now we're going to the other side of the rainbow. So now we're going into the yellow orange spectrum. Archangel Zadkiel connects to Archangel Jeremiah. You just high-fived me. Thank you, Archangel Jeremiah. He's very yellow. Thank you for wildness. Archangel Jeremiah connects over to Archangel Ezekiel, who's very orange. Thank you, Archangel Ezekiel, for nutrition. Archangel Ezekiel connects over to Archangel Haniel. Thank you, Archangel Haniel, for sleep. And she's coming in very pink. And Archangel Haniel connects over to Archangel Daniel, who's very red. Thank you, Archangel Daniel. Thank you for humor. Now, if you need help in any of these areas that I mentioned, pray individually to these archangels, and always pray to Jesus. He's a connector to the other side and a protector, because like I said earlier, we are in spiritual warfare. There's always been spiritual warfare. We're in a darker time right now. I don't want to, I'll explain that at another time. But when you're praying to the other side, and Jesus really wanted me to mention this tonight, yes, they would like you to pray to them. They would like you to talk to them. They would like you to connect with them. Tell them how you would like to connect with them. Have a relationship with them. Tell them you would like to connect with them through birds, coins, insects, whatever, music, whatever it is that you'd like, but also understand to protect yourself. And I'll be making more videos on how to spiritually protect yourself. Watch other people. It's very important, because many people are trying mediumship, trying tarot and things like that, and you have to protect yourself because you can connect to a darker energy. And I just want to put that out there, because Jesus really wanted me to put that out there, because he said, some of you listening to me are just starting to experiment more, and he would like you to pray to him, and he would like you to figure out ways to spiritually protect yourself. Okay, moving on from that, you can, when I read about my experiences, you'll see times that I wasn't spiritually connected. And I don't mean to laugh, but looking, hindsight is, hindsight helps. It can make things funnier than they are when they happen. Anyway, so okay, so we'll start with when I was a baby. My mother told everybody this. I didn't cry much, and people have said that about Jesus, and it's not because I was perfect. Jesus said it's because I was talking to them, and my mother would tell people that I needed to be fed, my diaper needed to be changed, and she would come in and I would be babbling. I talked very late in life, which is, I'm on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum. I have ADHD, so that's very common. It's very common. And also, being a medium, one of the reasons why I was labeled as, back then they didn't label me as autistic. My mother got frustrated because I didn't make a lot of eye contact with her. In some ways she felt slighted because I would be lying there in bed, laughing and babbling and not crying out for her like a baby's supposed to do. And I talked late in life. So in her mind, and this is how neurotypicals are, they think that their child is rejecting them. So I was having a good time in my crib, laughing, talking to my team. That's what was going on. And I had an intuitive knowing that my mom was going to come in, and it's very hard to explain, but that's why I didn't cry. and this has been explained to me by Jesus. I didn't quite, I didn't know this was going on as an infant. Like, I don't have a memory of this happening. I do have memories of being an infant though, which is very rare. Because they say you shouldn't have memories. I'm sure many of you do too. But I have memories of being an infant. I remember being mad at my mom because we were at a cocktail party and she needed to change me. And so she just brought me into like another baby's crib and just was changing me while talking to a friend. And I was like so embarrassed. I remember trying, I thought I was talking to her, but they weren't like really looking at me, and I was trying to say, stop, like this is so embarrassing. So I do remember that. So, and Jesus says it's very common for mediums, intuitives, starseeds, Arcturians, Pleiadians, tall whites to remember things that happened as a baby. And I want to let you all know too that they've jogged my memory, so that's helped. But that particular memory I've always had. So there's that. I wrote down I was indignant. So, and yes, I didn't talk. So I didn't really talk until I was, I believe, 4 or 5. And then I just spoke like an adult, like in full sentences. So that spooked my mother too. But in my mother's defense, she took me to a doctor. She thought I had autism. They told her I was fine. So, that was back then. Okay, I just have to look through my notes. Okay, so, all right, one of my first metaphysical experiences of when I left my body. This is a very sensitive subject, just warning you. I haven't told many people about this because I have very foggy memories of it, and also I have felt for other people that this has happened to, but this has happened to other people. I have felt that it's more extreme physically, what I'm going to tell you. And so I haven't wanted to bring it up because I felt that it wasn't big enough for some reason. But anyway, so let me just tell you all, I was 5 and an older, like a grandfather, my brother's friend's grandfather started babysitting us. He would bring us to this beautiful park, but I didn't realize he was grooming me. So many of you know what that is. He was grooming me for abuse. And so Jesus has told me that that experience was not only not a part of my contract, but that it didn't fully happen because it would have, just because of who I am and my sensitivities, it would have spiritually broken me. So I want to pay respect for those that have had this happen to them in a more extreme way that I'm going to say, because you're very strong. If you're still here, if you're still, you know, too many words to say. I can't put it into words, but you're still living and making a go at it. I commend you. So what happened to me is he was grooming me. So he would take me off. He would take me out on my own, and this was an incredible park that had like trains and candy and all that stuff. And you know, he would treat me like specially. So that was going on. And then what happened was he sort of drove off to an area, and he exposed himself to me. Now, that was a huge trauma for me. So that I actually left my body and went to the other side and hung out with this team. So Jesus said that spooked him, that he, like, I wasn't there. So I don't actually remember going to the other side and talking to them. A later in life near-death experience, opening this up, talking to Jesus, he told me that that's what happened. I have just a very quick blip in my head of him exposing himself to me, and that's it. And that actual real physical memory, I didn't remember that until I was very comfortable with a friend and her mom in their kitchen, and that's when I was 12 and I had that memory. So prior to that, I had no memory of that happening. And Jesus says I was being protected. I disassociated, and also my spirit left my body. I didn't experience really seeing that, just a blip. He freaked out. That was it. And then he tried one more time. He was, and this was a connection with them as a medium. And many of you may have experienced this, where, you know, I was a immature kid. I like to have fun. I like to play and this, but every once in a while, well, like I said, I spoke in full sentences at times. And then also I would have these just very mature moments. So he was like kind of driving around looking for a place to park. I got uncomfortable, and in a very adult voice, guys, I just turned to him and I said, do you want to do this with all of these people around? So Jesus said that was him talking through me, and this old man, he was really old too. Jesus said he was like pushing 70. Okay. So that freaked him out, and that was it. That experience was over. He didn't do anything. Thank you. And I really didn't want to tell this story. I'm only telling the story because I went to the other side and I talked to them. I was with them. They protected me. And this has happened to other people. And the only reason I'm telling you all is just as part of my experience as a medium. And hopefully Jesus wanted me to tell you this. So hopefully this will help somebody out there maybe feel less alone. Jesus says many of you all have had like creepy experiences, and you don't want to share it because people have had it a lot worse, especially nowadays that we hear about these stories and we're just mortified. So anyway, that was the time I went to the other side. So this is a little difficult to explain. As a child, I also had kidney infections, and I left my body at night all the time. I would leave my body and I would travel around with this group, fly around, go places, talk to them, have a good time. Guys, I would fly around the world with them. Thankfully, other people have had the same experience. Otherwise, you know, there'd be a time if I told this to you all, I'd be put away. And so thankfully, other people have been able to tell their stories. They've had near-death experiences. They've had this happen to them. And then also, like since that happened, they experienced this. So I think my brother, well, Jesus is like, yes. So my brother is part of this team, and they're saying yes. And I will make a whole video on him, but he experienced that too. So, and I know that because, well, they've told me, and looking back, I remember him telling his friends he could fly, and he would hurt himself like trying to like fly off the garage. And I remember he'd be very upset that he actually didn't fly. So that was like proof, but they've told me. So okay, so the kidney infections. Okay, so one day they just disappeared, my kidney infections. And I may have had one more a couple years after this, but it was very mild. But it got so bad, guys, that I was going to need an operation. And I had actually kind of forgotten about this too, because Jesus says it was traumatic just having the kidney problems. But so I was going to need an operation, but like I said, I would fly around with them. And so just to let you all know, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, tall whites, and reptilians all have ships. This team shares a ship. They come in spirit, and they come on ships. And I'm going to make a whole video about this. But anyway, my memory it's very spotty, like a little bit more than that other memory, but all I remember is being greeted and I can't physically tell you. I just was greeted, and I knew that I was being greeted by this group, and I remember walking up this ramp into the ship. I had my little Casper stuffed doll, and all I remember was a silver, big, heavy silver, shiny silver, like an operating table. And I went to see my group, and they worked on me, and my kidney infections were gone. And I can, I just remember my mother saying, my mother and the doctors just being like, not really understanding how I was being set up to have an operation. I had a very weak tube. They were going to take that out, and then just, it was gone. That was it. And they worked on me. So that was an outer body experience that happened to me as I was sleeping. And also, this happened a lot. So my parents were concerned. They said that I walked a lot. And one day they actually found me at the front door sleeping. So I think it was, Jesus is saying it was that time so my spirit would leave my body, and that time, like, I just physically left. So that's another experience. And this is challenging. It's very hard to share this, but Jesus really wants me to. He says this will be helpful for you all, and it's also very cathartic for me. I'm in New York, so you're going to hear sirens. So sorry, just reading. Okay, so my team had permission. They had permission to interfere in my life this way, because of my mission, and as time went on, because I was interfered with by dark reptilian energy. Like, you can see that old man. And so there's this whole balancing act in the universe. And many of you know we have free will. And many of you know that they don't like to manifest themselves physically often. In small ways. I told you, you can ask them to show you a bird or something like that, and they will, or whatever your deal is with them. But there was a reason. These are the reasons that I was able to physically go to the other side, and why I spiritually would leave too. There's more than one reason. I would have always been able to spiritually connect with them because my mission is to be a medium. But then in addition to that, the dark reptilian energy, I also had a target on my back, as many of you do, many others. And so, I had spiritual attacks, and so they were able to protect me in this way. So, I say this too because I've had actually people get mad at me within this community, like get not mad at me, but mad that like, why have you had these experiences and I haven't? And I want to let you all know, like, Freddie Mercury's coming through when he's saying, he's like, it hasn't been, what is it? Sorry, now he's talking to me. Sorry, this isn't very like concrete, linear. It's just my spiritual team is here talking to me. No pleasure cruise when he sings, it's been no bed of roses. Yeah, he's swaying no pleasure cruise. So he's saying that because, guys, like, there's a flip side to this work, and many mediums will come on and they might not tell you things that they've experienced, intuitives and star seeds, actresses, but you guys have watched my videos. I think many of you understand that there's a flip side. So if you're one of the people who has gotten upset with me, Jesus is showing me like that idea, that expression of if you throw your troubles into a pile, you would want your own. So anyway, also we're made for certain experiences. So, okay, let's go to another experience that I had, and I'm trying to go in order of age. So now, I always thought I was like around 5, but like I said, it was kind of immature especially playing with toys. I played with toys way past the time I should have, but this time I was 7, but the way I was playing so intensely, in my mind, I always thought I was like around 5. So I was 7. I was playing with my toys, and Jesus would like me to tell you why this happened. So it's really hard to explain. My life path, my mission was off course because of decisions my parents made. My parents separated, my mom met somebody new. I was in my own world of like playing with toys and stuff like that. So I wasn't really like feeling this as, a mission change, trauma, what have you. But in their eyes, it was like an emergency. So I'm just playing with my toys. It's Christmas. Christmas Eve was my biological father's birthday. He wasn't there because my mom had remarried. And so this is a big deal. So I'm playing with my toys, really getting into it in my own world. And Jesus came to me, but this was like the most visible vision I've had. He just appeared, his face, and we didn't regularly attend church. I had been to Sunday school like twice, and I actually got in trouble in Sunday school. This is another little offshoot. Okay, so I'll tell you that in a minute. So Jesus came to me as clear as day, and he was like, hey, look up here. And as a child on the spectrum, I had this weird thing. It was like Charlie Brown. Well, Charles Schultz was on the spectrum. So when he explained, like when you watch Charlie Brown, he explained like listening to adults. It was like, wah, wah, wah. Like, someone had to really get my attention. So Jesus was like, hey, look up here. And so I looked up from my toys, and I was just like, thought he was just like one of the adults bothering me. And I was just like, looked up, and he, all of a sudden, guys, the most incredible peace and love washed over me. And many will explain, I've had other near-death experiences. This wasn't that, but it was the feeling that I got. And I just felt peace and happiness. I mean, I was already happy in my own little world with my toys. Jesus said, because of the experience of my parents separating, my mom and her, my stepfather, they, it's like a love bomb, but they gift bombed me. So I had, I was a kid on Christmas with all of these extra presents. So, I was in my own world, and so I felt this, and it was like a blast of energy. Just there was this old like commercial with this guy sitting there. I think it was for Bose speakers, and his hair was going back. So that's what it felt like. And I was like, okay. And Jesus said to me very clearly, he said, no matter what happens to you, everything is going to be okay. And I felt that. And that stayed with me to the point where sometimes in my life I've really bothered people. Like when stress was happening, things were happening, I would be calm and I would be not as worried as you should be. So it's twofold. I dealt with a lot of dark reptilians in my life who create drama. So that's also saved me, but that came from Jesus. But it was an intervention. He didn't want me off of my mission, so he came to me. And he came to me as, not as how he came to me last time exactly, but more, and he did this on purpose. It was in between, like, the version that's, the version of him that's always painted with the wavy hair, light skin, and blue eyes, and the version that has come to me recently, which is like, he looks a lot like, what's his name? Kaepernick, the football player. Where he's darker but has a smaller nose, and his hair is a little more kinky. So anyway, Jesus came to me in between those two. He came to me as more of like the Middle Eastern looking Jesus. But that's not exactly how he looked. He looked more like Kaepernick. Anyway, so I didn't know that was Jesus, you guys. I carried that feeling, but I didn't remember that memory until they prompted me in a later life near-death experience. And I was like, oh my God. And they were like, yes, yes. And so I didn't put two and two together. And so this is why it's really important that I come on. They would like you all to go back and look over your own experiences. And Jesus says they talk to us in so many ways. At different times of my life, if anyone had asked me, like, as a medium, did you have experiences, or they wouldn't say as a medium because I wasn't acting as a medium, but when people talked about this stuff, I didn't associate all of the things that have happened to me. These are just a couple, and I have so many more. So, and I'm just telling you all that so that it will prompt you to think about experiences that you've had. So, okay. Oh yeah, Sunday school. So I went to a couple Sunday school. Jesus said twice, and honestly, back then, guys, a lot of parents use that as like a babysitting service, and so they could go do something. Anyway, or, you know, my mom and my stepdad had just met and they were trying to figure out, you know, if they were going to go to church, or I don't know. Anyway, in one of the Sunday school sessions that I had, classes, we had coloring books, and I colored Jesus in dark brown. And I was scolded, and I did not grow up religiously, and this was just intuition. And the teacher said, you know, Jesus is not brown. And I said, yes, he is. And we argued. And like, I wasn't a kid who fought or argued with authority. It was just in that moment. And I was a really quiet kid, and she was just taken aback. And I just kept coloring. And I think she told my mom. Anyway, it's really funny. So you could see there's this like underlying knowing, but not knowing. Very strange childhood, because oftentimes I was very oblivious, like very creative, very in my own world, doing my own thing, playing, making up things, being silly, and then I'd have these kinds of experiences. So, oh yeah. I can remember being in my yard in between, like, you know, there was like a carport. I was as a child, and I created this, there was a little grassy area, and I created a manger for Jesus. And like I said, guys, we were not religious, so that was just, I was doing something from a past life, and I'll explain that past life at another time. So, another experience I had, this is going to sound traumatic, but, hold on, I need a little lip balm, guys, getting a little dry here, and a little bit of I need something to drink. Sorry about that. Okay. So I was in the back seat with my brother. It's very common in my time for parents to go into the grocery store. My mother went into the grocery store. The way that Jesus and my brother explained it to me was I was picking at him. So he got very frustrated and choked me. Now, I know that sounds really crazy, but we were kids, and, they showed me what was on his plate and why he choked me and what was going on between us. My brother was scapegoated a lot in our family, so there was a lot of frustration there. And I was poking at him. And so I remember, I have a quick memory of just my mother coming and opening the door and being in complete shock. But Jesus said, I left my body and was, not traumatized because I left my body and was with them. So there was that experience. Okay, guys. This next experience is super bizarre, and I would never ever tell this experience because I couldn't put it into words, but Jesus would like me to tell it, and he says it's time. And hold on, there were so many other people talking about time jumps and invisibility cloaks and things like that. It's come through with the Harry Potter series. It was downloaded to J.K. Rowling because it's real. So I'll talk about invisibility cloaks at another time. So okay. Whew, this is a weird one, guys. So my mom was in a very frantic mood. She was upset and running late and overwhelmed. She had this really beautiful old car. I think it's called like a Belvedere, something like that. I have to look it up, but it was like an old white car, like a 50s type car. It was white and had burgundy interior and, one of those cool 50s steering wheels. So anyway, she was all frenetic, upset. We were in a rush. She was like, get in the car, blah, blah, blah. And I think we were going, Jesus said we were going to look for my dog, but the dog was in front of the car. And my memory of this was just get in the car. I heard a yelp. And then I remember being in my bedroom with my brother and we were playing. And I remember hearing my mother trying to talk to us. And that's all I remember. Now, so Jesus told me what happened was my mother hit our dog and our dog passed away. But Jesus said what happened was we left the car and were put in my brother's bedroom where we played. And Jesus said that my mother heard the yelp, turned around in the car, and we were gone. So we didn't experience this experience. Jesus said it would have been too traumatizing for us. We loved that dog. And so what happened was we left. So my mom ended up putting the dog in the car, going into our house, going into our bedroom, and just screaming at us like, where, how did you get here? Where'd you go? What's going on? She was completely confused. And Jesus says this was an experience for her, because it helped her raise us. So how do I explain this? Because, you know, I don't want to get too, my mom has passed away. I don't want to get too much into like who my mom was and what was going on with her, but she's reptilian, and she had starseed children because my father was a tall white. So it was, the best way I could explain this was almost like a warning to her, just to watch it, like take it easy, and also to be a little spooked of her children, because her being a reptilian, having starseed children, like she didn't understand us, we didn't understand her. And she would go up to that line of pushing things too far. And so this spooked her, where she was like, what? Who are, and other things have happened too. But she was just like, what in the world is going on? And she intuitively, Jesus was helping with this, like talking to her. She never spoke of our dog again, and we forgot that we had a dog. Like, I didn't remember that I had a dog until Jesus told me, and then I remembered having a dog. And our dog was named Taffy. Jesus, I've seen Taffy in dreams. I will see Taffy when I pass, but Jesus says you've seen Taffy when you've crossed over. Yes, thank you. But because that was so traumatizing, we just forgot. It was as if we never had a dog. And my mom was calming down, but she was saying like to us, and Jesus just showed me, I didn't remember this, but she was like, where did you guys go? How did you leave the car? And how did you get into the bedroom? And she was so confused, and then she just went silent because it was so freaky. And then she took the dog bowl, and we never talked about having a dog. And our dog passed because, and she felt guilty and all of that. But yeah, it wasn't done on purpose, but it also was, reckless. But we won't get into all of that. What happened? Well, I've told you all what happened, so we'll just leave it at that, because I have other experiences to tell you. So another time I'm playing with my brother, and I just remember, like, we had just everything out, all these toys, and in the middle of playing with him, I passed out. And Jesus is saying, it's because, so I have this strange thing as very sensitive, you know, medium, intuitive, starseed. I can't really digest sugar or gluten, which was a huge part of the American diet when I was growing up. So I often would pass out. But anyway, I passed out hard. So Jesus said it's because of what we ate, and also yeah, he said I just passed out and left my body. So when that happened, I had a past life memory. So, and I figured out who I was in this past life. And I'll go through and make videos on each past life too. But in this past life, I was so I'll tell you the memory first. I was an American Indian. I was on a horse and I had my arms around my partner, and Jesus showed me more of this and explained this to me. But I always just had this memory of my arms around my partner. And I've told this in a video, and you know, this is when I started talking to Jesus about it. I was like, why did I say partner? And so Jesus said that I was married and to a woman, but I was not in love with her. I was in love with my twin flame, and we were both men, and it was unacceptable. And I was a spiritual leader in the community. So I had my arms around him, and I thought that I was shot by like a cowboy, but Jesus showed me I was shot in the back I was running away, and I was shot by a tribes member because you know, I had shamed the community. And so in this dream I had of this experience, this past life experience, I left my body and I was floating up, and I felt just, guys, when you pass and when, you know, you have these experiences, it's just the most incredible amount of peace and love, and just so it's like you're just so happy, and here you are leaving this tragic situation. So I rose above my body, and of course I loved my partner, and he was looking back just horrified, like knowing like I had been shot. And yeah, it was with an arrow. So, you know, originally when I told the story, I thought it was a gun, but Jesus showed me the scene. But anyway, what I remember about this is more of the feeling, and then my partner being like just horrified. But the way that I felt is I looked down and I looked at him, and I was like trying to tell him like, I love you. And I was trying to tell the person who shot me like, I love you all. And I was trying to explain to them that everything's okay. And then my partner was shot, but I just wanted to, and we both passed on, but I wanted to just let them all know, and this is what we do when we pass. We're like trying to let everyone know, like, we're okay, this is okay. Not every experience, but it's a common experience. But so that's what happened. So that was another time. So this is like sort of a building foundation for me of not being afraid of death. It didn't carry on my entire life that I wasn't afraid of death, but I was just given this sort of inner peace because I was meant to keep that inner peace in order to do this work. And I didn't. I still kept getting pushed off my mission. Even with all of these experiences happening. And that's another reason why Jesus wanted me to explain these experiences, because many of you haven't had, I mean, this is just a fraction of my experiences, and Jesus always wants to remind me that I had all of these experiences, that they talked to me, and, you know, I've, not now, but I've been skeptical. And so he shows me this and wants me to talk about this because, you know, many people out there are skeptical. And, you know, this is a reminder, you know, that I'm just to come on and give messages, that I can't convince everybody, that not everybody has experienced this. So it helps me, it helps you all. It helps when I get a lot of criticism, which I do, like on the internet. People are like, what are you talking about? Bringing back this old idea that of people being reptilian. Like, you're not even really allowed to say that word on the internet. Like, that's how bad that went into a conspiracy theory. And I remember tuning that out because of the direction that it went in. Like, people saying like, oh, this person is shape-shifting right in front of us, and like they're a monster. And as you all know from watching my videos, like, that's not how it is. So that got so crazy. So now when I talk about it, people think I'm talking like that. And so anyway, I'm here to set that straight, but you're not even really allowed to say that. If you comment in my comments and you use the word reptilian, it won't show up. It will show up in you. I have to go into YouTube Studio, and I don't go in there a lot, and I see comments. It's just so strange, you guys, because all of the things that are able to be said on the internet, you can't say that. So anyway, just looking at the time. So I also just wrote down like weird experiences, that just how I did weird things, but I want to go through the major experiences first. So, okay. You know, another just psychic experience I had is I was supposed to go horseback riding, and I actually had a vision of myself falling off the horse into the mud. And that day was muddy. It was a wet day. And I just didn't show up. I just went home, and Jesus has told me that I would have gotten really hurt. So there was that. Okay. So I wrote a lot. I also went into like past the age of 10, but for this video, I just like to stick with, you know, from birth until 10 years old. So let me go back here. Just some strange things that I did too. Like, sometimes, like I said, guys, I was confusing child, because I was so childish and socially immature. I've always been socially immature. But also like strangely like a martyr sometimes, which someday I'll come on and tell you my past lives and why that makes sense. And this is an example. So I was at a school Christmas party, and yeah, this is when I was 7 too. Yeah, okay, yes, thank you. A lot was going on. So, and Jesus is saying, like, with this upheaval with my parents, my mother remarrying and stuff, a lot of like the way that I was, I just didn't want to get in trouble, wanted to be good, wanted to make sure there wasn't any drama. So went to a Christmas party at school. It was really fun, was having a good time. They gave us these stockings full of candy, and they were like knitted stockings, and I loved it. I had had enough too. I'm like, this was fun. I got my stocking, but there was a piñata, and the kids were just so excited, and I was just completely overstimulated and not interested. And also, this is a little judgy, I was like embarrassed that the kids were so excited for the piñata. I can remember thinking, like, we got the stocking, we've had fun. This is like, I remember wanting to tell them to calm down and just I guess it was for being like a party pooper, but like I went and I lied down in the bleachers, and I was just kind of watching them, like judging them, like, really? And they were beating on the piñata, and the I just didn't like that was too much for me. And then the candy poured out, and everyone dove for the candy, and I was thinking, like, don't they have any pride? Like, they're diving for this candy. This is ridiculous. So somehow I thought that my parents, I told my mom and my stepfather, like, with this sense of pride, that I was being like, I don't know, sensible, not greedy, something like that. I was very proud, though. I said to them what happened. I just lied on the bleachers, and I was just happy with my stocking. And this is a time where, this child who never speaks, doesn't make eye contact, I just come home and tell this really weird story. And I remember my parents just looking at me like, you were so weird. And they were right, but this is the experience of a medium. So those are some major experiences that I had. Let me go back, because I wrote down just like little things. And strange things would happen around me too. Like, so that same Christmas, like I said, I was toy bombed. My parents, my mother remarried, so they wanted to make sure, like, we had the best Christmas, and I was toy bombed. And but my mother was panicking because she bought me so many toys, and it was all the latest things. It was like I got a new bike and these latest toys, but she kept asking me, like, what do you want for Christmas? And I told her, Casper. I want Casper the ghost. I was obsessed with Casper the ghost and Snoopy. And so, and Snoopy makes sense for another reason. But anyway, so I kept saying, I just want Casper. And she had bought all of these toys. So she's freaking out. And she searched and searched. That one thing, my mother was very into Christmas, like the materialism, like the making the presents and all of that. So she kept searching and searching and searching for a Casper. She couldn't find, like, no such thing as a Casper. So she was just like, oh well, like, there's no such thing. So she went into like a Walgreens on Christmas Eve just to get like some stocking stuffers, last minute stocking stuffers. And so yeah, she went into Walgreens and she said on the shelf was a stuffed Casper. And it was, about that, like a typical stuffed animal, a stuffed Casper, full Casper doll, soft but stuffed, and she just couldn't believe it. She didn't know this doll existed. There was only one left, and Jesus is saying, like, that was from them, because that's all I wanted. I was, obviously with my metaphysical experiences, I related to Casper. I was a really friendly kid, a little misunderstood, and I just loved Casper. So that's what happened. So there's that experience. Let's see here. Just oh, there was another creepy experience too. My mom was having a party, and my mom was young, so some of these, young reptilian mom in the 70s, and she'd have, everybody had parties. So she had a party, and if you watch Mad Men, it shows all that, even though that was a little bit earlier. That sort of thing kind of carried on. But she had a party, and these two guys at the party said that they were going to, like, go to the store and get some stuff that everyone wanted. And so us kids were just like, we want to come. So we all, like, hopped in the back of their car, didn't know them, and we were just going crazy like kids do when their parents are having parties and just they're not paying attention. And we're just like, so they took us to the store, they went and got the stuff, came back, and another time of leaving the kids in the car. That was the thing that people did. So they were driving us, or they were about to drive us back to the party, and they just looked back and looked at us in a very creepy way. And I was in the middle of playing, like, and I just felt it. I turned to them and I said, it's time to take us home. Like, I know this adult voice came out of me, and they were just spooked, and they just were like, ah, and they drove us back to the party. But Jesus said they were contemplating like being creeps. So there was that. So much more, guys, but I'm gonna wrap this up and just let me see if there's I had recurring dreams too. I would always have this recurring dream of an indoor water park, which didn't exist until later. Jesus said that was a prophetic dream. I continually have had this dream throughout my life of a bridge collapsing, and Jesus says this might happen. I hope not. But it's that bridge that goes from, I believe it's like Miami to, you know, southern Florida to the Keys. So, but I also would have dreams of, there's a bridge in Louisiana, big bridge. I think it goes over Lake Pontchartrain. Visions of that collapsing, and the San Francisco bridge. So Jesus says these are like prophetic dreams of what could happen. I hope nothing happens. So, but I always had that recurring dream of the bridge going to Key West. Just one of my many dreams. And then weird things would happen too, like right before, you know, or as my mom remarried, I'll just say something traumatic happened to another family member, and Jesus says it was the dark reptilian energy. And as we were going to that event, to deal with the trauma that happened to another family member, I just had these, we stopped at a stoplight. I was in the back seat. I was just a kid, you know, I was playing, and then I looked up, and it was foreboding. These two black crows were staring at me, and things like that happened to me too. I've also talked about how the dark reptilian energy would work through people, and people have said weird things to me in my life and have not remembered. And Jesus says they are not lying. Like, they didn't remember. They were, you know, Jesus said they were being an empty vessel. Like, they were going through things in their life where they had these, like, Jesus calls them, like, told me they're like spiritual holes. He shows me a lot of things through, he just shows me like a movie, and then I explain it. So some of it, a lot of it's my wording, but he showed me just someone with holes in them where the darkness can come through them. And, you know, I'll be making videos about this. We see it just continually. just starseeds being attacked by dark reptilian energy. So I can remember, I believe I was about 6, and I was just riding my bike around my neighborhood. And I was just riding, and this little boy, he was like 4, he was on his balcony, and he just, looks at me and is like, "You're a witch." And he just wasn't old enough to talk like that. And I remember thinking, like, what is he talking about? And I went home and I was studying my face. And I'm not a witch, by the way. I don't practice witchcraft. I'm not judging that. That's a whole subject for another day. But that was just the dark reptilian energy coming through him, scaring me. And Jesus says this was all done, like, as much as they connected to me and I astral traveled with them and I went to the ship and I was healed. Yeah, I went on a healing ship, he's saying. And as much as I connected with them, I had the dark reptilian energy trying to scare me straight, to like scare me into not doing this work, because that felt very judgmental when the little boy was like, "You're a witch." And that's been done throughout history. And Jesus says that there's 2 sides to that, because there's a lot of people now practicing black magic, dark magic, dark witchcraft, and that's bad too. And Jesus is always trying to protect me and protect others from that. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm, have this special protection, but like, because of the work I do, sometimes I'm targeted more. And so, I do get assistance, and you can ask for assistance from them, especially if you're doing any kind of spiritual work. And times that I would astral travel, leave my body, I can remember seeing my body, like when I would leave and when I would come back. And guys, I really thought that that was normal. I thought everybody did that. Yeah, I can remember another kid, like we were just kind of having a fight in the yard. And when I was growing up, kids did that all the time. And I can remember him coming back to my house. He was so angry. And Jesus said that we had just had we were fighting, like rough housing, fighting in the yard. And I was going up, so he didn't come back to my house. That's how I remembered it. But Jesus saying no, like I was going upstairs, and he was just like, "You're in trouble. You're in knife trouble." And he sounded like a demon. And Jesus said, yeah, like he was so upset, and the dark energy came through him and spoke to me. So, okay, I think I'm gonna wrap this up now. So that's some experiences. If I can remember like something I think that you all might like to know that happened from when I was born until I was 10. That's the limitation on this. Jesus saying yes. I'll make another video. I'll put it in a playlist. So, okay, we're just gonna wrap this up, and I hope this was helpful. Ooh, surprisingly cathartic. Anyway, guys, I will come back on and make videos from when I was 10. I mean, a video from when I was 10 until 20, and I'll be making more videos soon. I'm channeling someone who I think you'll all really like. I'll tell you that when I make the video. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and I want to thank my team for being here, for helping me do this work, and I want to thank you all. I don't really thank you all that often. I receive a lot of support. Thank you all for your emails and your likes and your comments, and you know, believing in me and believing in you know, what Jesus has told me. I really appreciate that. They really appreciate it, and they want to say that they love you all, and I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.